Hey there, this is Barry Rapkin. I'm the CMO of Identify Technologies. Thank you so much for joining today for today's webinar. We're going to be going over how to choose the right drone solution for your business. Before we do that, the general agenda, we'll just talk to you a little bit about drone basics. Everyone should know how drones are benefiting each specific industry. And then we have a special limited time offer and open Q&A. That said, though, don't feel like you have to wait until the very end to ask questions. Feel free to send questions over at any point of the webinar, and I'll try to address them as we go. So I'd like to start by asking, we've had RC planes, remote control helicopters for decades. So why is there this all of a sudden massive interest in drones? Well, this was the common RC user experience. If you've ever played with one, maybe in the 70s or 80s, they're cheap, they're flimsy, they're made of paper or cardboard, and they're toys, but they're not tools. They're not reliable. You can't do anything practical with them, and they're not robust. So what changed? Why is there this sudden massive interest in drones that we see today? And it's really a combination of government and private sector innovation. We have flight controllers from NASA, GPS from the US Navy, miniaturized sensors, digital cameras that are both high resolution and compact, and advances in model aircrafts and batteries. And all those things have combined to give us the modern drone capabilities that we're now enjoying. Now, to actually select the right drone for your needs really depends what those needs are. There is no perfect drone. It all depends what you're trying to achieve. And the saying is that there's different horses for different courses. So the perfect drone solution is absolutely out there waiting for you, but no single one drone is perfect for every application. So what this webinar is really about is helping you figure out which type of drone and which drone solution is right depending on what you're trying to achieve. In this case, that can be everything from a Global Hawk from Northrop Grumman, that's about $100 million, 32,000 pounds, that'll fly for almost 30 hours, to the other end of the spectrum. You can get a Phantom Vision DJI, perfect tool for snapping some photos. It'll run you just over $1,000. And yeah, for a light hobbyist that just wants to get some aerial photography, that is the absolute right solution, and you have everything else in between. So we'll be going deep into that. You're seeing initial applications for drones used for real estate, sports, movies, TV commercials, and deliveries. So in most cases, it's anything where normally you're just trying to get a sensor in the air at a particular angle, and now instead of having to pay for a pilot for gas and fuel for the helicopter or plane to get out there, now you can just get that sensor out much more efficiently, much more automatically. So how are drones benefiting your specific industry? Well, we're going to get deeper into this as we talk about what drone is right for you, because we're going to talk about, well, what can that drone offer you by each industry. But you're absolutely seeing drones used in mining, construction, oil and gas, mapping, agriculture, landfills, and surveying. I don't want to waste your time by going over this twice, so we'll just save this for kind of which drone is right for you, but all these industries are using drones and getting a lot of value out of them, which I'll speak more to momentarily. And the general problem that drones are solving across these industries is that most projects run late and over budget. And that's because project managers are asked to do an impossible job, going to war with a mountain of paperwork, trying to communicate with their contractors, their leadership, their customers, having perfect visibility on every single change on every massive job site all simultaneously. It's an impossible job. You can't be three places at once, and sometimes something has to give. And I've been on these job sites. It might be 100, 200, 1,000 acres where you can't even see from one end to the other, and you're still expected to somehow know every change that's happening. Largely, the construction is still done off of rolled up paper blueprints, and managers walking the site with clipboards, taking notes and pictures. And stakeholders actually have to physically visit the job site to check progress, whether that's developers or VPs. And the reason that traditionally aerial overhead data has only been rarely captured is just because it was so expensive and so slow historically, but that's changing. What all that has led to is that it's unfortunately impossible to make fast, informed decisions without consistent site visibility. That leads to inefficiency. Inefficiency from expensive contractors and rental equipment often going unused due to bottlenecks that could have been prevented with the right information. It leads to project delays because you're waiting for customers or VPs or regulatory teams to get out to the site to approve portions of work before the next section can begin. It leads to low profits because when projects go over budget, it comes directly out of the construction company's profits. And it leads to lost customers because customers who experience disappointments on their projects may not use you again, may stop mid-project, or may file lawsuits. So how do drones help? Well, now you can get job site visibility. Visibility that's accurate, visibility that's automatic, where literally you're mapping your job site in near real time at the push of a button, and it's completely secure. So for the first time in history, you can affordably capture your data, your job site progress, your updates in minutes, not months. So who are we? Identified Technologies is a fully managed drone solution. We improve job site transparency and profitability with a completely integrated solution that includes drone, flight planning, data processing, and data analytics that were all built to seamlessly interact perfectly together. And we're with you every single step of the way with both software and services. We work with industrial leaders in energy, excavation, mining, engineering, and landfills. And they use us because outdated methods are slow, inaccurate, dangerous, and costly. We offer world's only automatic EDAS, that's end-to-end drone as a service, and we are proudly headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA, serving clients around the world. Some of those clients include Kokosing, Seneca Resources, PJ Dick, Mascaro, Americoal Mining, and ET. You'll see a lot of ENR 400 on that list, and it's growing every day. And we have recently been featured by TEDx, Inc., CNN, South by Southwest, TechCrunch, NBC, and I believe over the last couple months, Forbes, New York Times, Salon, and Huffington Post. We're an approved ISNet World contractor. We have an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. We have a complete $5 million general liability insurance coverage, and we are proud to be the fastest growing drone company on the East Coast. The reason is not because of our drone, but what that drone gives you, what it offers. You can get 3D volumetric analysis, contour mapping, orthomosaic overlays, and as-built versus as-planned blueprint overlays. So you can not only see where you are, but compare that to the initial plans and drawings, and compare and contrast. Our tools also let you monitor progress reports and cut and fill tracking, not just on earth-moving projects, but also for things like right-of-ways and anything where you want change detection over time. We empower you to securely share your data and export in all major file formats if you either want to back up in other systems or do post-processing on your own software. So how are we different than alternatives? Well, option one, which is what many people do, is they just don't really track their site. I think we've already discussed some of the challenges with that, so I'll leave it at that. But there are other ways to collect job site data. You can get an aerial survey. Usually that's done at most once a month, more often once a quarter, once every 6 months. Costs around $15,000 for a 100-acre site, and it's actually pretty quick once you get the helicopter out to the site or the plane, but usually it takes a couple weeks to book, a couple hours to collect the data, more weeks to process the data. Usually you're looking at 2 to 3 months from when you order the aerial survey till when you actually have your completed data. With a manned survey team, it's usually faster to get a team out, maybe a week, but usually it's about $1,000 a day for a two-person team, and it'll take maybe a month to collect all the data on the job site, a couple weeks to process. So still you're looking at around 2 months from when you ask for the data to when you get it. And the problem is on a fast-moving job site, if you're getting things done and you're looking at data that was collected 2 months ago, that data is wrong because the job site's changed. It's no longer accurate. It's obsolete. So what you really want is not just the savings in not needing to spend as much of your team's time collecting the data. That's a big part. But even more than that, it's actually knowing where you are today, not where you were a month ago or 2 months ago. So with the EDAS model, you can, if you want, get your data monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. Doesn't matter. It's an unlimited updates. With the low-cost monthly subscription, you can do it as often as you want. Every time you push the button, the drone will fly and collect fresh data. The booking lead time is instantaneous. To gather a 100-acre site needs about 9-10 minutes, and then the data processing time is a few hours. So if you fly that morning, you can see where your job site is, but before you leave the office. There is another solution. So maybe you don't want to do traditional ground surveys, you don't want to do aerial surveys, and you don't want to use a fully managed solution. You want to do it in-house. So no problem. Here is the checklist that you'll want to use, that you're basically required to use if you want to build your own system. So you'll have to comply with all FAA regulations. You'll need Part 107, and we have an own webinar on that, going deep into how to get it and the process. You're going to need drone pilots, either to hire them or train them, do all the certification requirements. You need to select and integrate the software for the actual flight planning, the software to run the drone, the software for processing the data once it's captured, select the actual drone hardware and processing systems, and then the software and hardware for the analytics once the data processing has been done and all the data has been captured. And then a system in place to store and manage the data around your team. A lot of these job sites might be, 5, 10, 20 gigabytes, so it's not something that you would just normally email out. Then you'll need to handle the risk and insurance of the drone operations, and then take on either crashes or replacement. Even if no one's injured, a high-quality drone falling might be $50,000 or $100,000. So those are all things that you'll need to deal with, as well as avoiding technical obsolescence. Drones are progressing so quickly that the best drone today, in 2 or 3 years, is going to be obsolete. So you're going to have to kind of keep up on that treadmill and make sure that you're always using high-quality stuff if you want to stay on the edge. And the normal drone mapping process is you have a cam out with a map perimeter. That's just showing the target that you want to map. You're going to need to lay ground control points, create and upload your flight plan. You'll fly the drone. You'll geotag the data, connecting the data captured with the location where it was captured. You'll transfer the data to a processing system, process the data, store and manage the data, and at that point, you finally get what you're after. All that time, you get to analyze it and collaborate with your team. With identified technologies, we've tried to cut out every unnecessary step and automate the process as much as possible. So with us, you just upload your flight plan, you push a button, the drone will automatically fly and capture the data. The data is uploaded and processed, and boom, you get to access and analyze your job site. So again, you push the button, the drone flies, the data is uploaded and processed, and you can analyze your job site and collaborate with your team. And what's unique about this is that for the first time in history, not only can you get affordable, real-time data, know exactly where your job site is, you can share that with all your stakeholders, with your managers, with the customers, with your team. Anybody that needs to see it, you can all be talking about the same thing and be on the same page. It's very scalable, it's very reliable, and you can differentiate yourself from your competition with that technological leadership. And I was talking before about wanting to avoid obsolescence. Part of our subscription is we're always updating you with the newest software and the newest drone. So this brings us to the meat of today's presentation, which is how do you select the right drone solution for your business? And I want to make very, very clear, we are not right for everybody. It depends what you're trying to do. It depends what industry you're in. I'm very, very proud of what we can offer, but we are absolutely not right for everybody. So whenever there's the better solution out there, we want you to use that, and we're going to direct you to that. You're seeing farmers monitoring crops and energy companies inspecting pipelines. You're seeing Hollywood studios filming movies and contractors conducting land surveys. All of this is done with drones. Commercial drone usage is taking off in almost every industry. And what this next section is about is just matching the right drone, the best drone for the job. So for agriculture, farmers are more and more purchasing agriculture drones equipped with cameras specifically for close monitoring of crops. This data allows for increased water efficiency and pest management. You're seeing CA's 3D robotics, California's 3D robotics, and North Carolina's Precision Hawk, as well as Japan's Yamaha, are all rising as really key players in this field. And they're using special sensors that let them see things like what areas of their crops need more water, what need more pesticide, what need more fertilizer, and get down to a really, really kind of surgical level of precision to optimize and maximize the crop yield. For bridge inspection, Asymmetric Technologies recently became the first company to receive FAA approval to perform bridge inspections with drones. The technology uses HD and thermal imagery to detect faults, corrosion, and other signs of deterioration. So when traditionally this all had to be done with massive machines, maybe sealing off and taking up the whole highway to do it, now you just send out a drone, you're not blocking the highway, you're not putting anyone at risk up in high places, and you're still able to get that visibility to inspect what areas need work, and check off all your regulatory boxes just much more efficiently than ever before. You're seeing drones more and more used for film production, everything from TV commercials to major motion pictures. And this is due to the relative ease of use, agility, and low cost. This is a very, very high quality DJI. The drone is like $3,000 to $8,000. And fees for a drone crew for filming usually start at around $2,000 a day on a film set, which, you know, that's not nothing, but it's compared to a manned helicopter and team that's generally about $20,000 per day. And the reason for that increased efficiency is now, again, you're not paying for huge amounts of fuel, you're not paying for the equipment, you're not paying to transport the whole thing out. It's just a much more efficient process when all you want is the data and the sensor in the air. So now, let's talk about some of these other industrial applications. So our Identified Technologies Boomerang system is much more dedicated to industrial data capture for things like construction and excavation, anything with volumetric earth-moving projects. It's particularly good for automatic, because of its automatic piloting and its wireless communications, and you can usually capture data about 200 times faster than traditional methods. And you're still capturing data at about 99.6% of the accuracy of conventional surveying approaches like LiDAR. The Boomerang is used to track changes in earth moving and excavation projects and update inventory for stockpiles. So just to talk through a few examples for construction and excavation. One of the big challenges is progress miscalculations lead to cash flow problems. You know, you thought you were 3/4 of the way done, but you're actually only halfway done. So now, for the first time, you can actually know exactly where you are each step of the way, and you can invoice as the work happens in near real time to improve cash flow. So you're not sending out the bill because you just got your data back from the survey you started a month ago, and you're only collecting now on what was done last month. You're able to send out the bill for the work that was done up till today, and you send out your bill today. So you're getting paid for in near real time for the work as it's done. You don't have to worry about inaccurate bids leading to missed opportunities or unprofitable work. You can win more bids and maximize profits. You don't have to worry that your subcontractors are causing scheduling difficulties or delays. You have unlimited job site tracking. So you get oversight, you know exactly what's been done, you're never overpaying for anything, and they can't exaggerate the work. And fundamentally, you can't increase profits without tracking rate of progress and actual unit costs. What gets measured gets managed. So this gives you interim updates where you can track progress and actual unit costs, like dollar per yard of earth moved, or dollar per acre cleared, or for highways, dollar per pavement laid, but know exactly what your costs are. For engineering and surveying, the value proposition is a little bit different. You now can sell aerial mapping services to clients, even if you don't have a helicopter or plane. And if you do, you can do it much more efficiently with significantly reduced costs. You can do follow-up business from those mapping results. Maybe initially they just wanted a quick ortho just to see what the foundation looked like, or what the land looked like, to even see if they wanted to work there. Well, once you offer them that, maybe they need you for the follow-up work, for future drawings, or for future analysis. And it just helps you differentiate yourself from your competition. We work with Arm Group. They're an awesome engineering company. And one of the reasons they like us is most of the competition doesn't offer drone mapping. So for them, they can stand out from the pack. They can be a one-stop shop that offers everything. And it helps them differentiate themselves from what can be an otherwise commoditized industry. But they really set themselves apart. For mining, the biggest value is really inventory tracking. So if you don't know how much inventory you can have financial surprises. You look bad when you're telling your maybe CFO or senior accountant one thing, and your stockpiles are actually way off. And I mean, besides just looking bad, you're going to miss opportunities. If you underestimate how much aggregate you actually have on hand, how much inventory you have, then when people are going to buy it, you're going to have to say, no, we don't have it, even when you really do. And if you overestimate it, then it's even worse. You're promising something to customers that you don't have. And then you're stuck either to ship it from a distant location where you're losing money, or just telling them, sorry, you don't know what you have. I've seen some of these mining and aggregate companies where every day the threads of emails with 100 messages are going back and forth of the inventory waivers with each sale. And to actually know with confidence, definitively, what you have on hand is huge. But it's not just good for aggregate. Just like for construction, it's great for all earth-moving projects. You can know your real costs in terms of yard of earth moved. It can be hard to normally track and optimize mine planning, leading to inefficient production, but this lets you really know what your progress is, what your real blast volume calculations are, and optimize all of that. If you're working with subcontractors now, you get that oversight we were talking about, and we have change detection tools for safety risk identification and reporting. So all of those things just increase safety, increase speed, and help you run your business better. And then for energy, there's a few different things. One is, if you're doing anything with pipelines or right-of-ways, you have to constantly be patrolling and monitoring right-of-way passages. And with us, not only do you get those unlimited on-demand flights to patrol and monitor the areas, but we have change detection software, so it will do it and it will flag it if anything has changed over time. Maybe someone parked a car right next to a pipeline. Maybe there's serious erosion, or the vegetation by a pipeline has died, signaling methane leak. But either way, it will actually flag that for you, so you can detect it early before it becomes a big problem. The drone tracking is very helpful for regulatory compliance with the FERC and all other energy industry regulations, helping you stay compliant. And in terms of emergency response and risk identification, it gives you that oversight so you can minimize damage, and even things like tracking and labeling each individual weld in a pipeline. So if something ever does happen, you can see where the center of it was and go back to your records showing that it was done properly. And the two biggest differences in drones are there are quadcopters and there's fixed wings. So a quadcopter, that's what we use in Identify Technologies. It's called a quadcopter because there's four different propellers. There are also versions out there called multicopters that have more than four, and they kind of look like a helicopter. Um, they have some advantages and some disadvantages. The big advantage is they can take off vertically and land vertically. And that's why they can be so automated. You don't need any runway. You're not going to run into anybody. It just takes off by itself, lands by itself. It's all very, very controlled. The alternative to that is a fixed wing, which looks more like an airplane. It's a more efficient model. So on the same amount of energy, a fixed wing is going to go further. The disadvantage to it is you actually need that runway to take off and land. It's a more manual process, and it tends to get more blur on turns. It's got a wider turn. So each one can be right for different things. If you are, let's say, doing a 2,000-acre site or a 100-mile pipeline and you want to get the whole thing at once, a fixed wing is definitely going to be the right way to go. It won't make sense to do a quadcopter because it just won't have the energy to do it. If you're trying to do something a little smaller, maybe 100 or 200 or 1,000 acres, you're better off with a quadcopter for that controlled landing. You don't have to worry about things like blur as it's rounding edges the way you do with a fixed wing. And so like inspection, surveying, energy, construction, mining, quadcopters are usually better. For massive agriculture, rural large field surveying, humanitarian aid, or 100-mile pipelines, you're probably going to want to go with a fixed wing. So I hope this chart is helpful to kind of see the advantages and disadvantages of each. One other thing to keep in mind, a lot of the fixed wings, you actually have to, if you don't use a runway, you have to hold it in your hand and throw it, and then when it's landing, you have to catch it out of the air. I hate blood, and I don't really want to grab something with a spinning propeller, but you may feel differently. So just keep that in mind as you consider fixed wing options. So if the general value that we offer, the features, sound appealing to you, I'm just going to take a minute and talk a little bit about what the onboarding process looks like. So you'll meet with Cassie, our client success manager, take you through sort of the setup, training, flight, data, and adoption. Starting out with just an initial conversation to see what your needs are, what your hopes and dreams and fears are, everything that success looks like in your company and what you're trying to get out of the program to make sure we can set a plan in place to give you that. We're going to train and educate you and your team. You're going to have best-in-class support and access to not only in-person help, but also our online support center, going deep into detail on every aspect of the operation of our commercial drone solution. Well, after you get onboarded, there's still a continuous quarterly check-ins to review your desired results against your real results, make sure we're meeting all your success criteria, see if there's anything you want in the software or hardware that you're not getting, so we can build that in. We have a whole dedicated team working full-time just to meet special client requests. And then they also help you through the 107 certification process to make sure you're legal and have an easy time. So what that does, the Part 107 is a 60-question multiple choice test. It's kind of like getting your learner's permit, and you have to pass it to be able to operate a drone for commercial purposes. Even if that operation just means you're pushing a button, having it take off and land by itself, the FAA still requires it. So with our team, we're really happy to say we have 100% first try pass rate on the Part 107, and working with us, you're going to maximize safe drone operations, high test scores and confidence, and you minimize the time spent training, delay until your drone mapping can begin, training costs, operational mistakes, and surprises or failed exams. Our criteria was built by John Little, our VP of Aviation, who has over 2 decades of flight and flight training experience, and we're really proud of it. And we've gotten really good feedback on it so far. So what's the real value of drone mapping? More bids, increased profitability, increased quality assurance, and happier, more satisfied clients that are easier to retain. And whether you're doing landfills or engineering, mining or excavation, the value is you can get that near real-time accurate data, get it very affordably, very quickly, very accurately for the first time in history. So I want to thank you for your time and your patience. Give you a free offer. If you go in the chat box, put in a couple of links. There's one for a free demo. If you're interested in seeing our software in action, just click that button and someone on our team will reach out. If you're interested in getting a free month of drone mapping, you can click that link, answer a couple of questions, and you have a chance to be selected for a free month of drone mapping. See how you like it, no risk. And then if you want any additional resources, we have other case studies on things like how does drone mapping accuracy compare to standard aerial, questions like what's the real ROI of drone mapping, all kinds of different things. What do drones have to offer each department of my organization? So feel free to check those out if you want to learn a little bit more about what drone mapping can offer you. And with that, I want to just turn it over to audience Q&A. You guys have been great, super patient, and I'm sure you have questions that are specific to the technology, to your industry, to your use cases or applications, maybe to regulations. So I'm going to take a minute, and please, if you can just enter a couple of questions. There are no stupid questions, only stupid moderators, so I will do my best, and if I don't know the answer to something, my team will. I'm the marketing guy, not the head of technology, but we have some amazing experts on the team, and I'll be happy to follow up with you to make sure your question does get answered. So anything you want to know about drones, applications, use or technology, please enter a question now. So as these questions are coming through, I'm just going to pop off a couple of common ones. Why is our drone system called the Boomerang? Well, we want to capture how simple it is to use, how easy it is, how intuitive it is, and that you just send it out and it comes back by itself. So that was the idea of the Boomerang. You just send it out and then it automatically comes back by itself. No stress, no problems. Another question we get is, do we do indoor building inspections? So at this time, we do purely outdoor. The reason is we use GPS and accelerometers and gyroscopes for our work, and the GPS signals can sometimes be blocked by thick walls and ceilings. So it's more efficient and more accurate to do outdoor work. Again, things like big excavation projects, energy right-of-ways, rather than indoor projects like field rooms or buildings. One question we often get is, what happens if the boomerang malfunctions or something happens? So if there's any issue, it's no fault to your own, then we just overnight you a new one. So, and that's pretty unique. Most other drone companies, if there's a problem, either you just have to get a new drone, or you're spending months or at least weeks going back and forth arguing. With us, just automatic, get a new drone, get it overnighted, because we don't want your business to slow down waiting for the technology that you need to do your job. Charlie just asked a good question. He said, you envision training someone in the company to run the drone. Do you handle the whole function on a contract or a subscription basis? Awesome question. So Charlie, here's the deal. To operate the drone, and again in this case that means pushing the button, you do have to get a Part 107. So if you have someone in your company, maybe a surveyor or a project manager, and you feel pretty good that they can push a button and watch a drone fly, then we can train them. Again, the Part 107 is just a 60-question multiple choice test, and I believe you got to get a 70% as a passing grade. Once they have that passing grade, we're going to send out the drone, give them a checklist for safety, train them in our specific system, and all they have to do is push that button. The drone will take off, fly itself automatically in a lawnmower pattern, capture the data, comes back, and lands itself, and then they're going to beam that data up to the cloud, process it, and you get your analytics and work. So we do have some customers that want us to actually physically come out to the job site with our pilots. We'll do that, but there's an added fee. And in general, it's more efficient, more scalable, more convenient, all those things, to just have someone on your team who can operate it. That way, if we come out one day and the weather isn't great, we're not stuck there all day waiting when your whole team is there regardless. So this is a tool and a product that you're going to have ownership of, that you're going to operate, that you'll keep in the back of your truck. But yeah, awesome question. And Charlie also pointed out that boomerangs aren't necessarily that easy to throw. Fair point, Charlie. It's more high concept, but I will admit boomerangs aren't as easy as they look. I'm not Australian though. I feel like if I was, I would be a boomerang master. So Ken asked a question, I use Trimble Business Center. What's the process to get the data to TBC? So awesome question. We export into all major file formats automatically using SiteIQ and the Boomerang system. So if I'm actually going to post a link right now that's to our solutions page to offer a little bit more information. So if you want DXF, FBX, PLY, zips, TIF, contours, 3D meshes, digital surface models, whatever it is, we can export directly into that. I believe TBC uses TIF, but don't quote me on that. But if you tell me what it uses, we can tell you definitively if it'll export to it. But we haven't found anything yet that we don't export into the format they need. So if you want to use Trimble, as many people do, you'll be able to just export directly into that. All this does is just gives you that ease of use and kind of intuitive performance, but you'll still be able to analyze the data the same way you do today. And everyone here, you've taken about an hour of your day out to learn more about drone mapping. And I'm sure there's a good reason for it. And I would love to believe that, I've put together such an amazing presentation that I've answered all your questions. But I bet there's things that you still would like to know. So, Charlie, Ken, you guys are leading the charge. But I see there's still a good number of attendees here. I would welcome any other questions you guys have. Everything is fair game. It can be about our system, drone mapping in general, specific use cases and applications, regulatory, anything you are curious about drones. You got free answers. And really, I mean, if we aren't the right fit for something, if we can't do it, that's fine. I want to point you in the right direction of who is. In terms of what the accuracy is, we can get down to a few centimeters, even 1 centimeter if we're going low and slow. The final accuracy is going to depend exactly on that low and slow. If you don't have a ton of high tree cover and cranes that you got to fly over, you're going to have more accurate data. If you want something that the drone will just rip through it as quick as it can from up high, it won't be quite as accurate, which is usually fine for excavation projects or aggregate. It just depends what your needs are. But we can get down to really sub-centimeter precision. Um, Otherwise, thank you, Charlie, for attending. I appreciate that shout out. I've enjoyed speaking with you all. If anybody has any follow-up questions um, of any kind, then please reach out to us on identifiedtech.com. I'm going to post up a link right now to a demo. And feel free to come sign up. You can see our technology in action, look at it for things like a landfill, um, engineering projects right away, excavation, whatever it is that you do, and you want to see what your kind of work would look like in our SiteIQ system. So I invite you to go check that out. And I just want to thank you all for spending your morning with me. I've enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much.